Hello guys and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be working on the doll I prepared for our superhero doll collab hosted by His Name is Akin. He came up with this amazing collab idea where everyone has to create their original character but make two outfits each, a superhero costume and also their civilian outfit that would represent their real life activity. In this collab we have 4 participants: Dolazarus, Valkitty's World, His Name is Akin, and me. All the links to their videos will be in the description box. For this collab, Akin was making a superhero inspired by Alfred, the butler from Batman, and he offered me to make a super rich person who can become a Batman to his Alfred. And I absolutely love the idea. Like, make a character whose superpower is money? Sign me up.
Alfred, let's go shopping.
Yes, sir.
I joined the collab a bit later when everyone was already working on their dolls, so I had to find ways to cut corners to make it on time. As my base doll, I chose the one from my stock box that had very good factory hair that I felt too sorry to cut anyway, and like this I saved myself some time on rerouting. To be honest, that was the only corner I actually managed to cut, but it still saved me a couple of days. I just washed her hair with shampoo and soaked it in fabric softener and they became super soft and smooth. She's one of the rare Mattel dolls that doesn't have sticky glue inside her head, so I think removing it would be a sin anyway. My character was supposed to be rich like Batman, so she could afford to have a butler, but I'm making a female version of him. So in my mind I was imagining what a stereotypical rich and hot woman could do for a living, and I immediately thought that she must be either an actress or a diva, like for example Jessica Rabbit or Francesca from The Ghost Ship. And what both of these women have in common is a fire red dress that was always associated with very strong, confident, prideful, aggressively sexual, and also cunning women. So I decided that an elegant red dress is a must-have for my doll because these are the qualities I want my character to represent. I want her to be a so-called femme fatale, someone extremely feminine but with strong personality, a woman that knows her worth and presents herself as such. While working on this doll, I was changing the concept a lot. At first, I wanted her to be a singer, and I thought if she's a singer, it would make sense if, as a superhero, she was a siren, similar to the Siren Sisters from DC Comics. So I decided to make her eyes light blue like water, and light blue also makes a nice contrast with ginger hair, so it was an easy choice for me. Then I thought that as someone who goes on the stage, she must have a very strong and dramatic makeup as well. I didn't have a clear plan or exact vision of what I want, so I just improvised and was making decisions along the way, letting the doll decide for herself what she wants to be. I got this random urge to give her black smoky eyes, and I just did it. And the lipstick must be red, of course, just like her future dress. Even though this face-up looks a bit simpler, it still took me a lot of layers because I was struggling to build up the black and get a smooth gradient from skin tone to brown and finally black. I also overblushed her at first and had to tone it down with lighter pastels. It didn't look bad, but I also felt like if the blush is too strong, I'll need to blush her body and I wanted to avoid it at all costs. So here we are. The blue in her eyes also seemed way too strong to my liking, so I toned it down with white and grays as well and made them look more like bluish gray, and all these things together pushed my concept too far away from a siren and she started to give me more of a Catwoman vibe. To be fair, the Catwoman matches the personality I imagined even better, so I'm not upset about it. I'm actually glad that I listened to my intuition and went with the flow because it helped me to give her face that emotion and energy I wanted her to project. As a final touch, I added some black metallic paint to her crease to create a stronger accent on her eyes, added a few touches to her irises, glossed her eyes and lips, and her face is done. Don't know about you guys, but to me she doesn't look like a siren anymore. With makeup like this, you should avoid water at all costs, just like the cats do. The first outfit I'll be working on is her civilian look, and as you already know, it will be a long red dress. Here I am reusing a pattern I made for my character from Terraria. It was a bridal dress with a corset with cups. And I'm going to use the same pattern for the bodice, but draw a different skirt for it. I want it to be a straight fitted dress with a long train. On the blueprint I marked the hip line, the knee line, and the length of the dress. The dress needs to be slightly longer to cover the shoe platforms as well. I want the train to start right under her booty, so I marked this place on the blueprint and made the skirt a bit tighter towards the train to make the skirt even more fitted. Then you need to find the knee line and remove a few millimeters from the sides. It will help to make the skirt more narrow. And at last you need to adjust the bottom edge of the skirt because look, on the bodice pattern the hip line has a curve. But on a person it will look straight and be parallel to the floor. This happens because the back of the skirt needs to be slightly longer than the front to make up for the volume of her booty. On the front, the hip line is straight though, so what I did is continued the straight line into the back half and looked how far the curve goes. Then I copied this exact curve on the bottom as well. If I skipped this step and left the bottom line straight, the back of the skirt would be too short because her butt pulls the skirt up. I never had this issue myself because my ass was always flat, but if any of you were blessed like this doll or maybe hitting the gym, you might need to adjust your skirts like this as well. I wanted the bodice to be see-through and decided to use chiffon for the corset and red satin for the cups and the rest of the dress. I really like how this satin fabric looks on dolls. It looks very elegant and noble, and because it's polyester you can also melt the edges to stop them from fraying. However, it's very stubborn, way more difficult to shape compared to cotton or especially wool, so yes, making these cups was not easy, especially when attaching them to chiffon, so I had to sew everything by hand and very slow to not ruin the chiffon. After attaching the cups to the bodice, I had to cut the allowances very short and quickly melt the edge again before the chiffon fell apart. Here it was important to keep the allowances as small as possible because the bodice is see-through and you kinda don't want all of the mess to be visible. Then I sewed the allowances to the bodice with an additional seam all the way around the cups. It will help hold them in place and shape the cups better. Then I attached the bodice to the skirt and also folded the seam allowances towards the skirt and secured them with an additional seam, because again, we have a see-through bodice and we don't want to see these allowances, so we need to show them their place and make them stay away from our side. Maybe I was not blessed with a nice butt, but I certainly was blessed with a lot of patience, because I absolutely enjoy things like sewing by hand, repetitive tasks like rerouting, embroidery, some small sculpting that requires a lot of concentration, and so on. So I think when I decided to become a doll artist, I actually found an activity I was born for. Maybe it's a strong thing to say, but I definitely feel like miniature sewing is much more fun to me than human-sized projects. And it's also more convenient because you don't need as much space to work on this stuff. Everything you need fits on a regular table. For example, imagine if I was making this dress human size. Look at this train. How much space would it take? I'm pretty sure that this pattern wouldn't even fit in a standard fabric roll width, but in a doll scale you can bring almost any fantasy to life and it wouldn't even cost that much because they need minimum materials, right? I finished up the dress by adding lacing and hemming the skirt, also by hand, because I don't trust my sewing machine enough. Next, I need to make her a pair of long gloves. I wish I could make her actual gloves, but unfortunately she's a bit too small for it. And I also didn't want to paint her hands, but while I was playing around with this lace, I noticed that it looks quite cool if I pull her fingers through the holes around the little flower, and this flower turned out to be exactly the size of her hand, just as if this lace was created especially for this doll. These gloves will be fingerless, but it's not even that noticeable because naked fingers go really well together with the lace pattern. Even though I'm sewing the gloves on her arms, I think her hands can still be disconnected and removed together with the gloves, but I'm going to plan her outfits in a way that there won't be a need for removing her hands anyway. When I was looking for red dress inspirations online, I found this design by the hair Murad, and I'm absolutely in love with these huge textile flowers on the gloves. So I decided to borrow this idea and use it for my doll as well. I made 4 big flowers out of satin ribbons and glass beads, connected them in pairs, and attached an elastic to make this element removable. This could be a cool ring as well, don't you think? And at last I need to make a pair of shoes for this outfit. Because the dress is long, I decided to not bother too much and took this pair from Laguna Blue. I decided to cut off this long noodle element because I'm going to repaint the shoes, and I feel like a flexible element like this won't hold the paint well. Then I sprayed them with black primer and dry brushed with the same black metallic paint I used for her makeup. I think this metallic paint really elevated these simple looking shoes. This was all I wanted to make for her civilian outfit, and now I need to create a superhero costume for her, keeping in mind that she already has long lace gloves and they are not removable. I only had 3 days left for this outfit, but I really felt like making her a pair of tall leather boots with lacing. These boots had to be there no matter what, so I decided to make them even if I risk being late with my video. For the boots, I cut out 4 rectangular pieces of artificial leather and hemmed them from one side. I made them way bigger than I needed to have more room for mistakes, because sewing machines and artificial leather don't get along so well. Then I connected them with another leather rectangle and glued all of the seam allowances to the main fabric. Like this, I wanted to additionally fortify this leather for the future lacing. Next, I need to sew the back seams, put the boots on the doll, and adjust the lengths. Now I need to close the bottom seams, but before I do that, I placed paper soles inside the shoes to protect the doll's feet just in case some glue will soak through. Then I wrapped them in plastic and sculpted actual soles with epoxy sculpt as usual. After sanding, I sprayed them with black primer as well and glued them to the shoes. Later I will gloss them as well, but for now we need to move on to the bodysuit. I think with boots like this, the rest of the outfit can be very minimalistic, so I made her a simple leather bodysuit by combining front and back halves of the regular bodice pattern. I had to make a few mock-ups to make it correct lengths and cover the molded panties, but I think I managed to fit it properly. I also added a mesh element on the chest to befriend the lace gloves with the rest of the outfit. I made this bodysuit pretty quick because leather is not fraying and it doesn't really need to be hemmed. So I think this simple bodysuit made up for the time I spent on the boots. It looks very good together with the rest of the elements though, and it also made me realize that I might be playing a bit too much Mortal Kombat when I was little. She looked so evil, so I felt like I need to make her a mask with horns as well. And that's how her vibe changed from the Catwoman to Daredevil. Yeah, well, I told you I didn't have a proper plan, and just let the doll decide for herself who she wanna be. And judging from her face expression, she's not exactly the type who would let others tell her what to do, so I was like, okay, demonic creature, you win. Get your bloody mask. While working on her, I found out that apparently those masks from Failfix dolls fit Ever After High dolls almost perfectly, and once again I was glad I was a trash goblin who is never throwing anything away. Anyway, I wanted to make just a forehead, plate, helmet kind of thing, so I'm going to chop this mask and use only the upper half of it. If you're wondering how a mask like this can keep anyone incognito, I prepared an answer for you. You see, if you don't want to be recognized, you need to hide things that make you stand out of the crowd, right? Right. And for this doll, it's not about what she has, it's all about what she doesn't have. Have you seen a lot of people with no eyebrows? Even though I like no eyebrow looks on dolls, it's indeed quite unusual for a person to not have any. But seriously speaking, it will be there just for the aesthetics, not everything has to be functional. After I was done carving and sanding, I covered it with leather from both sides because I wanted to make it soft on the inside as well for it to be completely safe for the face up. Then I added an elastic, glued the horns, and the mask is done. She could be ready for the photo shooting now if it wasn't for one very unfortunate smelting accident. You see, I wanted to style her hair for the photo shoot, but I didn't know that saran melts from a hair straightener, and unfortunately I ruined her fabulous long hair. But as a typical anxious person, I'm only anxious when everything is good. When I'm in actual trouble, I'm extremely gathered and looking for solutions. As you can see on the video, the majority of her hair was still there, and luckily for me she had a lot of hair, so I decided to trim the damaged part in a gradient and try blend it with the rest of her hair. But first I needed to find all of the melted ends and chop them one by one. Not something you wanna do when you are already late for the deadline, but if you are an idiot, sometimes you don't leave yourself a choice. So here's what I ended up with for now, and when the hair is hanging naturally, it's not very noticeable, but I still pulled out some of these short hairs to make the step even less visible. As I said, I was very lucky she originally had a lot of hair. And now let's see the end results. In her superhero outfit, she either looks annoyed or threatening and more like a supervillain than a hero, but well, you see, I never was into superheroes that much, so I hope you can let me get away with this tiny inaccuracy. I also found the perfect name for her. I've been thinking if she reminds me of both the Catwoman and Daredevil. If I mix two of these characters, what could I get? And I decided that Orange Cat will be a perfect name for her because orange cats have a pretty bad reputation online and she is also ginger, so it kind of fits. I'm very happy with her superhero outfit, but her civilian outfit looks just as good and suits her very well. I think the dress looks very noble, and I think the train and flowers made it look suitable for any important occasion, and she wouldn't be embarrassed to wear it to any event. Maybe except for the red carpet. But anyway, I really love this dress, even though it doesn't have many details. It looks elegant, noble, and surprisingly enough, quite modest compared to her other outfit. I'm still thinking in which outfit I would prefer to display her, so maybe you guys can help me make this decision. I kinda feel like the superhero outfit suits her more, but I also really love the dress, so I'm torn between the two. I also love how annoyed and borderline evil she looks on the group photo. She looks so relatable, it's hilarious. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this project. Supporting my channel with your likes and comments is the best way to help me continue creating these videos for you. But if you would like to support my channel further, you can also join my Patreon for more in-depth content or buy me a coffee. All of the links you can find in the description box. Even though I started Patreon now, my giveaway offer for buy me a coffee still stands. For every 100 coffees I reach, I will make a giveaway and the winner will get a custom doll commission. Each coffee equals 1 entry. Thank you very much for spending your time with me, and I hope to see you soon in my next video.